Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about the midpoint formula. In finding the midpoint formula between the line segment from point 1 to point 2, where the location is here, and the midpoint formula is given, which is the quantity of x sub 1 added by x sub 2 and then divided by 2, and y sub 1 added by y sub 2 and divided by 2. So let's have an example. In example number 1, we have 1 and negative 1, which is our point 1, and 5 and 5, which is point 2. So let's take the graph and we locate its location. This is point 1 and this is point 2. And then we draw in the graph and we locate its vertices. So we have the y plane and xy plane. This is negative. This is y plane and negative y plane, and x plane and negative x. And then if we locate this in each vertices, so we have to count from here 1, 2. Here 1 and negative 1 is our point 1. So we can put the dot here. And we labeled it is point 1. We have x sub 1 and y sub 1. And the other point, which is point 2, is going upward. So we have to count its unit by 5 and then we put the dot here. And then we connect each endpoint. So we have to find the midpoint in between. So we have this one is P2, which is point 2, and it belongs to x sub 2 and y sub 2. And here is point 1, we have x sub 1 and y sub 1. And then we can find the midpoint. Remember that the midpoint is the equidistance of each endpoints. Remember that it is equal to each endpoints. Remember that our midpoint is x and y. So let's find out by using the midpoint formula. Let's see, our midpoint formula is given by x sub 1 added by x sub 2 and then divided by 2, and y sub 1 added by y sub 2 divided by 2. So let's plug in x sub 1. It is located in the left side corner, so we have 1, positive 1 here, and the second left corner is the value of x sub 2. And then we have y sub 1 is negative 1 added by y sub 2. We have in the right corner here, we have 5 divided by 2. And then let's simplify. 1 plus 5 is equal to 6 divided by 2. And negative 1 added by positive 5 is equal to 4 divided by 2. So you have 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. And 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. So this is our midpoint. And then we locate in the line here, our midpoint is 3 and 2. So remember that the midpoint is the equidistance of each endpoints. And then if we put from here, we have 3 and 2. Let's see if its endpoint is equidistant to its endpoints. We count from the midpoint going upward and going downward. Going upward here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 measures in each endpoint, and from here we have to count 2, 3, 4. So the same measures from each endpoint. So we have 4 units from each endpoints. And then let's have another example number 2. We have 6 to negative 3 and 6 to 11. This is our points 1 and point 2. So let's take a graph. And then we locate in here each axis. We have x-axis is the horizontal line, and the vertical line is our y-axis. So we have 6 and negative 3 points 1 here, and 6 going upward to 11 points. So we have 1, 2, 3 going upward, which is 11 here. And then we look at the endpoints here. So we have this one is 6 and 11, and then if we connect in each endpoints, we have points 1, we have x sub 1 and y sub 1, and connect to point 2, we have x sub 2 and y sub 2. Then we connect, and then we can point the midpoint in between here. So let's see our midpoint here is m is x and y. So to find the midpoint of these vertices, we have the formula of the midpoint. We have x sub 1 added by x sub 2 divided by 2, and y sub 1 added by y sub 2 divided by 2. So we have to solve x sub 1. We plug in from the left side corner. So we have 6. X sub 1 is 6 added by x sub 2. We have 6 also divided by 2. And y sub 1 is from the right corner here. We have negative 3. And from the right corner, the second point. So we have 11 divided by 2. And then 6 plus 6 is equal to 12 divided by 2. And negative 3 added by positive 11 is positive 8 divided by 2. And then 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6. And 4 divided by 2 is equal to 4. And this is our midpoint. So we count from here. We have 4, 6 and 4. So our midpoint is 6 and 4. Remember that the midpoint is the equidistance of each endpoint. So if we count from the measures from the midpoint going upward and the measures from the midpoint going downward, so we have 7 units. If we count from upward, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 units in each endpoint. And going downward, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7. So this is equal. It means that equidistance. So this is the answer. Then let's have another example number 3. We have negative 5 and negative 2, which is our point 1, and 6 and 10. This is our point 2. So let's take in the graph, and then we will look at its vertices in its axis. So we have y axis, x axis, negative y axis, and negative x axis. So we have negative 5 and 6. So we can plug in here. So we have negative 5 going downward by negative 2. So this is negative 5 from point 1 and negative 2. So we have here point 1. And then we have our second point is 6 and 10. So we can locate its vertices here from units 6. Going upward to 10 units, so we have 10 here. So we can put here 10. This is our point. So we have x sub 2 and y sub 2. And then we connect each endpoint. So we have, this one is our point 1, x1 and y sub 1. And then we connect each endpoint. And finding the midpoint here. So our midpoint is x and y. And then we can solve the midpoint by using the midpoint formula. So we have midpoint x sub 1 added by x sub 2 divided by 2, and y sub 1 added by y sub 2 divided by 2. So it's, if we plug in the value of x sub 1 is negative 5 added by x sub 2 is positive 6 divided by 2. And if we plug in y sub 1, which is negative 2 added by y sub 2 is equal to 10 divided by 2. So we have negative 5 added by positive 6 is equal to 1 divided by 2, and negative 2 added by positive 10 is positive 8 divided by 2. So we have our midpoint here is 1/2 and 4. This is our midpoint. And then if we look it from here, we have 1/2 going upward to positive 4 in here. So remember that the midpoint is the equidistance of each endpoint. From the midpoint going to the endpoints is the same measures as the measures from the midpoint going downward and the midpoint going downward. So this is 1/2 and 4. And then you see if each unit is the same measures to each endpoints, and this is our midpoints. This is the answer. Let's have an example number 4. We have 4 and 7, which is our point 1, and negative 10 and 7, which is our point 2. And then let's take on the graph we have here. We have the y and x, negative y and negative x axis. So we have to plug in here. If we look at here, we can count each unit from the origin. We have 4. So we have 4 and 7. We can locate here our points 4 and 7 going upward, so we can put the dot here. And negative 10, we have to count from each unit here in x-axis, so we have negatives in this left side, so we have to count until negative 10. So we have negative 10 going upward to positive 11. So we can locate here that. And then we connect each endpoint. This is our point 1. We have x sub 1 and y sub 1. And our point 2 is x sub 2 and y sub 2. And then we can find the midpoint here by solving the midpoint formula. This is our x and 1. So let's solve the midpoint by using the midpoint formula. We have x sub 1 added by x sub 2 divided by 2, and y sub 1 added by y sub 2 divided by 2. And then we can plug in by its value of x sub 1. We have positive 4. From the right corner here, we have from x-axis we have 4 added by y sub 2 is negative 10 divided by 2. And then in y sub 1 we have 7 added by y sub 2. We have 7 also divided by 2. And then we have 4. Positive times negative is negative, so we have negative 6 divided by 2, and 7 plus 7 is equal to 14 divided by 2. So we have negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, and 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7. So this is our midpoint. And then we can put it in the graph. Remember that in the graph we have to look here. So we have the midpoint is negative 3 and 7. This is our midpoint. It is equidistant to each endpoints. If we count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 measures to each endpoints from the midpoint. So this is our answer. And then let's have an example number 5. We have in number 5 we have negative 2 and 6, which is our point 1, and 3 and 4, which is our point 2. So let's take in a graph. In the graph here we have, this is our x-axis, y-axis, and this is our negative axis, y, x, negative y, and negative x-axis. And then we can locate its vertices here from each vertices from the origin. So we have to count negative 2 going upward, which is positive 6. So we can put the dots here, or points 1, and point 2 we have positive 3 going upward to positive 4. So we have positive 4 here, 4. And then we connect each point. So we have point 1. From point 1 here we can have point 1, x sub 1, and y sub 1. And this is our point 2. We have x sub 2 and y sub 2. And then we can find the midpoint here from this area. Remember that the midpoint is the equidistance, and then by using the midpoint formula we can see the answer of this midpoint. So we have the midpoint x sub 1 added by x sub 2 divided by 2, and y sub 1 added by y sub 2 divided by 2. And then if we plug in the value of x sub 1 is equal to negative 2 and negative 2 here, and x sub 2 is 3 divided by 2, and y sub 1 is equal to 6 added by y sub 2, which is 4 divided by 2. And then we have negative 2 added by positive 3 is equal to 1 divided by 2, and 6 plus 4 is equal to 10 divided by 2. So our midpoint is 1/2, and then 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this is our midpoint. So we have our midpoint here is 0.5 or 1/2 going to positive 5. So this is our midpoints, we have 1/2 and 5. So this is how we can solve the midpoint formula answer. And don't forget to subscribe my channel and click the button below so that you will get notified my new videos. Thank you and God bless. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Love you.